and with a heart rate readout looking pretty much like this. 5 serious spikes before the fast downhill finish to Morzine, the toughest climb being the final one, the Col de Jouplan. All the more reason for Oscar Pereiro to savour the rollout in the neutral zone before kilometre 0. Now, with 11 men of no particular significance out front on the first climb, the Col de Cézille, Floyd Landis ordered his men to the front of the peloton and wound up the pace. Oscar Pereiro couldn't stay with it, and soon there was a bunch containing all the other contenders and Landis. Soon after that, it no longer contained Landis either, because he attacked off the front. With 127 kilometres and 5 climbs still to ride, it looked like the move of either a desperate man or Superman. Kleuden, Sastre, Evans and company decided it was the former and rode a steady pace, allowing Oscar Pereiro to rejoin them as Landis disappeared into the distance in search of the breakaway group. And after some excellent descending, he joined the escape group and set about eradicating his 8-minute deficit on Oscar Pereiro. Pereiro, meanwhile, was asking for help in chasing him down from the likes of Carlos Sastre and getting absolutely nowhere. CSC and Team Mobile were either confident in their calculations of just how much time they could pull back on the final climb of the Jouplan, or they were playing a dangerous game with everyone's chances. Either way, only Kestepan were doing any work on the front, while Landis, not content with joining the breakaway group, rode away from it, with only Andreas Kleuden's teammate Patrick Sinkovits for company. Not that Sinkovits was working with Landis, just marking him.
We are now on the lower slopes of the Col de Jouplan, or at least the leaders are. Floyd Landis and Sinkovits have started. I think that was the capture of Christophe Lemavelle. I don't know where he was. He wasn't even placed over Chatillon. But now we've got Jens Voigt making it, as though that was Algon who's gone down the back. So there's only 2 riders now. It's 2 men versus the rest as they climb the Col de Jouplan.
Well, to analyse this race, as far as I'm concerned now, all that Floyd Landis has to do, Phil, is climb 12 kilometres, because over the 12 kilometres, that's the only chance that he's really got of losing any time at all, because on the descent from the summit of Jouplan down into Morzine, the way this man goes downhill, they're not going to pull anything back at all. The leaders of the Tour de France now have got 11 kilometres to try and put things to rights. I'm not sure they can.
We're going to see a big fight. We're going to see the men who have made this Tour de France, Cadel Evans, Andreas Kleuden and Carlos Sastre, maybe Cyril Dessel. They are going to have to attack. Denis Menchov, who's cracked in the last couple of days. They're going to have to attack at the bottom, forget the peloton and try and reduce the lead of Landis. Carnage on the Jouplan is about to happen.
Then Floyd Landis is back in with a chance, and he's popped off Patrick Sinkovits here. The man from T-Mobile has sat on his wheel for the last 100 kilometres, and now this man from the United States of America lives now in San Diego. Floyd Landis has gone off on his own, and he's now flying away to the probable stage victory, and more than likely riding himself back into the possibility of winning the Tour de France this afternoon. He looks back casually there to see, what have I done? Well, I'll tell you what, Floyd, you've cracked Sinkovits, and now you're riding on your own.
These are the riders who can't stick the pace in the room. The kitchen's got a little bit warm right now as they start to split up. This is a horrible fight. Levi Leipheimer, the hero of yesterday for much of it, has also uncoupled at the back. The riders are falling away here. At the moment, the last man we saw at the front was Giuseppe Guerini. T-Mobile seem to have a great team. George Hincapie also finding the pace is getting a little bit hot for him.
Everybody slowly getting popped off the back, one by one. This is Frank Schleck now trying to drag Carlos Sastre. There is the yellow jersey, just a little bit further back. He's out of the saddle. He hasn't got the acceleration. He hasn't got the jump to come across here. Carlos Sastre knew this afternoon that if he wanted to win the Tour de France, he had to get time on everybody else. At the moment, he's gapping Kleuden. He's gapping Menchov. He's gapping the yellow jersey. The yellow jersey, Phil, has lost the power.
The yellow jersey, I think, is riding behind Cyril Dessel, who's 4th overall just now. Michael Bogart is going forward, but he needs to take with him Denis Menchov, and he can't. Menchov can't respond. I think Menchov, we can start to discount now with Sastre, and this is a fabulous piece of riding by the Luxembourger on the front. Carlos Sastre, who was really becoming the #1 favourite to win, has been put on the defensive here, not to mention the Maillot Jaune, who is also slipping, but hanging just.
Well, this is the steep part of the climb. It levels out a fraction once we get into the middle of this climb, but then again, it is savage when you get to the top, Phil. 10% at the summit of the climb. We've gone over 4 climbs of the day. Frank Schleck today sacrificing himself for Carlos Sastre. Sastre started the day 1 minute and 50 seconds down in the overall classification, but that was not counting the great ride done this afternoon. This is now Carlos Sastre out on his own.
Sastre has now got to go it alone. Schleck is giving him a launch pad, has no more left in him. It's now up to Sastre to ride this mountain alone and for the moment be best of the rest. There could be a yellow jersey awaiting Sastre. Right now there is, if he can continue to progress. Remember, the record is 7 different leaders. The next leader, if it's Sastre, will be the 8th.
Well, Sastre needs to make 1 minute and 50 seconds over Oscar Pereira. He starts the day in 2nd place. Cadel Evans there scurrying across the gap. He's onto the wheel, I think, of Christophe Moreau. Again, the reaction's coming. Everybody scrambling, Phil, to keep in the race.
One thing was right. We knew the peloton would implode on this climb. It's an act of desperation. These riders now have been thrown into all sorts of problems by Floyd Landis. The man that they counted for dead yesterday has come right back into the Tour de France. Carlos Sastre on the climb of the Col de Jouplan needs 50 more seconds to be the leader of the Tour de France. He has dropped the yellow jersey by 1 minute. He is closing in on Floyd Landis, but not alarmingly so. This rider for France, Christophe Moreau, is putting up a great performance. Isn't going to affect the destiny of anything. And poor Marcus Foten here has been dropped by that group. He's held that white jersey for so long. Damiano Cunego is now looking to wear it tonight. The Jouplan is having a great say in the Tour de France.
Well, let's try and figure out just exactly where everybody is on the slopes of the Jouplan. The way the race looks at the moment, Floyd Landis is leading Patrick Sinkiewicz by 4 minutes. Carlos Sastre is at 5.5 minutes. Christophe Moreau is at 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And the yellow jersey group is still hovering at around about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. They are all over the slopes of this mountain. 12 kilometers of climb and then 12 kilometers of descent down to the finish. Floyd Landis has showed us he knows how to go downhill very fast, but the time at the top for me is the most important time here this afternoon.
This is Sastre, and at last he sees Sinkiewicz, the man who rode all the way today on the wheel of Floyd Landis. So Sastre is now climbing in 2nd place.
Well, Sastre now into 2nd place on the road, going past Patrick Sinkiewicz. Sinkiewicz, actually, Phil, Sinkiewicz has been given the word, sit up and wait. We need to wait for our man, Andreas Klöden, but now it looks as if the yellow jersey decided to take the responsibility himself.
As he must. An attack by Damiano Cunego, this little rider who said he would win a mountain stage. He's left it too late, I think, but now he's got a new target, and that is the white jersey. Best newcomer to the Tour de France, and Damiano Cunego needs just over 2 minutes on Marcus Foten, and we've seen Marcus drop off. But whatever happens to Floyd Landis at the finish of this race today, he has left his mark on this race. The champion is back. And Carlos Sastre, I think now, is the only man that can do anything to spoil the party. And Carlos Sastre is climbing so well and should be taking yellow tonight.
Well, that's the theory, but the practice is what the clock at the finish line is going to tell us here this afternoon, as Carlos Sastre looks comfortable. Damiano Cunego has caught and passed to Christophe Moreau here. He's riding himself up possibly into the best young riders competition this afternoon. Phil, I just remembered the newspaper headline on the French newspaper the other day. They said about Floyd Landis, they said, well, he's got the yellow jersey, but there has been no panache. There's been no style, there's been no battle. I wonder what they're going to say about him tomorrow.
Well, and we'll be most interested to find out, because he's been the absolute hero as he goes over the top. 8C or category, outside category. Landis has done everything possible today. He's led over the Col de Colombier, the Col de Châtillon, the Col de Jouplan. Now it's 7 miles downhill to the finish.
You know, the horrible thing about the Col de Jouplan is you go over that point there that shows you've come to the summit of the King of the Mountains classification. You think you're going to start the descent immediately. Well, actually you don't. It's level for a kilometre or so, and then it kicks up just a little bit further before you then plunge down the next 11 kilometres to the finish line. This is the 3rd and 4th rider on the road, Christophe Moreau and Damiano Cunego. But what's more important, I think, to us is just to keep a very close eye on the clock at the top of the Col de la Jouplan.
Looking backwards here is the Rabobank champion, national champion, Michael Bogart, trying to coax that rider on the left who is absolutely dying out there. That is Denny Menchov, and look who rides past them all. The Maillot Jaune, picking all his rivals off who have tried daily to rob him. He just rides through them, is watching them crucify themselves and get nowhere.
And watch out, you know, for Oscar Pereira, because although he's defending himself on the slopes of the climb here, he's a very good descender. We've seen him go downhill very fast in the past. He takes so many risks. On one occasion, he went off the edge of the descent of the Col de la Guillebier because he was trying to have his lunch going downhill at 50 miles an hour. Today, it's a little bit different. There's something else in store for him at the end of today's stage, because if he can pull back a few seconds on the descent of the Col de Jouplan, he could keep himself in the yellow jersey tonight. But what a battle.
Well, as we head up towards the summit of the Col de Jouplan, remember Landis on the way down to his first ever stage victory in the Tour de France. He made the yellow jersey a first this year as well. Bang, 5:07 is the gap for Carlos Sastre now, but it might be advantage Landis on the descent. Now the next big time check we want is the Maillot Jaune.
Well, this is the next man on the road, third place for the Frenchman Christophe Moreau, and just behind him will be Damiano Cunego, but it's a long way back to the yellow jersey.
Well, the cheers will be for this Frenchman because he's done the ride of his life. Christophe Moreau coming up to date. It's a pity it's not Cyril Dessel, his teammate, because Cyril may be losing fourth place now. He goes over the top at 5 minutes and 58 seconds behind. The big time gap we're looking for now is that of the Maillot Jaune, Oscar Pereira. Here he is as Michael Bogart stamps away up through the crowd. This is a bigger crowd than I've ever seen on the Col de Jouplan, almost as if they sense that this was the deciding climb of the Tour. And you know what? It isn't going to be the case. This race will go on for the next 3 days.
Well, we're looking here at the yellow jersey. Phil, my quick calculation on the time of Carlos Sastre, if it says 6 minutes and 57 seconds, then the yellow jersey has lost its overall lead, but that doesn't mean he'll lose it on the day, because he could very easily bring something back on the descent. Michael Bogart is the man setting the tempo at the front, just ahead of Frank Schleck, just ahead of the yellow jersey. I'm looking at the clock to see what the time is going to be when they stop it on the line. And they stop it there on about 6:52, so the yellow jersey is still in the yellow jersey for only a handful of seconds.
As Floyd Landis continues to dive down this mountain as fast as he can go. He's on the lower slopes now. Soon he'll be shooting into the town of Morsey. He may have a little different approach these days. He's taking risks, though. He wants every second.
Every second is going to count. Michael Rogers today sacrifices Hinks' place in the top 10 overall to try and keep Andries Kloden up there. Maybe T-Mobile should have thought about looking after Michael Rogers, because Kloden really has not been up to the mark.
Michael Rogers will zip up the jersey now for the journey down. Like everybody else, he thinks he's about to go downhill there, but there's a small climb to come. We are into Morsey now. These people have watched this escape all day today on a large screen. Watch these corners, because we don't want nothing to ruin a perfect day for Floyd Landis. The man is back. Whatever he is tonight in the Tour de France, he is one of the great riders of this race once again.
Well, this is one of the most incredible performances I've seen. It's fine letting a guy like Richard Viron get away on a stage like this, because you know he's not going to win the Tour de France. But inside of the final kilometre now for Floyd Landis, 2 left-hand bends. He'll drop down here about 400 metres. He'll face another left-hand bend, and it's a slight drag up towards the finish line of what's going to be important. Phil, look at the way he's sprinting. He's not even cruising. He's not going to enjoy this victory until he crosses the line.
Every second counts. He's racing to the line like a man who's just moved off the front of the peloton. He has not cracked today. He's done everything right. He's used that water to its fullest. He's looking for the line when the clock will start, and it will see him come from the depths of 11th up probably into the top 4 riders today, but we don't know until the other riders come off the Jouplan. Look at this crowd here. It's one of the biggest of the Tour. They've lined this road for the last 24 kilometres, and they've lined it 4 people deep.
Well, they have seen and witnessed something this afternoon which is going to be talked about for many years in the sport of cycling, for many years in the history of the Tour de France, and still, Phil, he will not give up. He will keep powering all the way to the line, because every second now is going to count for Floyd Landis from San Diego.
Floyd Landis comes home, his first ever stage win in his 5th Tour de France. He's had 3 yellow jerseys this week, but he never dreamt he'd get another one, and now he's made it possible before the finish in Paris to win this race. That's a nice show of determination, a magnificent piece of revenge. The clock has started now as Landis gets off his bike like he's about to deliver the newspaper.
Well, what a ride through the Alps that was for Floyd Landis here this afternoon, Phil. I could not believe that he was going to survive on a day like this. We had a great insight from his coach, Robbie Ventura, who felt confident that Floyd was able to do that. The clock has started on the finish line. We've been at around about 30 seconds since he crossed the line, but what's going to be important is where is everybody else in the Tour de France this afternoon. This is one of the monumental battles I think we have both ever witnessed.
So many riders have been just that equal on ability. Floyd Landis has come down the mountain across the Alps today, just in the style of a Hannibal of modern times. An incredible performance. I can't believe we're talking now of Floyd Landis back in the race. He started the day 8 minutes and 8 seconds behind. He ended the race in tears yesterday, a complete disaster. And to his total credit, he never made an excuse. He just simply said he had a bad day. He didn't blame his team. He didn't blame anybody but himself. He came out in angry mood today to put the record books right. And there's been a crash, and down has gone Dessel. On the way down the Jouplan, well, I'm surprised it's only caught one rider out, but at least he's okay. And this will be a nasty tumble there too by Cyril Dessel. These are desperate times in the Tour de France. He's fourth overall and he's fighting to keep it. 5:07 at the top of the climb. Sastre has lost time on the descent. They might be crucial seconds for the time trial when that comes up a day after tomorrow, because Landis has made an incredible descent here. 5:07 it was. He's taken 30 seconds and counting. He has taken the best part of a minute of Sastre on the way down the mountain, and that could be absolutely crucial in winning the Tour de France. 5:41 I reckon it was.
Well, I make he's going to have an advantage of about 20 seconds ahead of Floyd Landis in the overall classification. Christophe Moreau is going to be the next rider home, but then we've got to do another calculation between Sastre and of course Oscar Pereiro.
Well, the battle now primarily is between Sastre and Pereiro for who wears yellow tomorrow. Will it be Pereiro who keeps it? He's a very good descender. It looks as though Sastre hasn't given all on that descent, because Landis pulled out an extra 35 seconds on him. Here comes Damiano Cunego, the Italian, who probably tonight will be the new leader in the best rookie competition in his first Tour de France.
Up and down this Tour de France has been over 3 weeks. I've just made a quick calculation, Phil. Because of the 12-second time bonus, Carlos Sastre needs to wait a minute and 38 seconds to see the arrival of Oscar Pereiro. If Oscar Pereiro doesn't come in within 1:38 seconds of his time, then there's going to be a change in the yellow jersey tonight, and Floyd Landis is going to be third.
Well, he's going to make it, Paul, because he's coming in with a sprint. I think this man has kept it. He needs to be around 7:11, I think it is. 7:11, 7:18, and he's sprinting to the line. And this time, I think Oscar, the big surprise, who has given that breakaway of a half an hour, he doesn't care who wins this sprint. It's same time finish. It is going to be desperate. The seconds are there, but this time, Oscar, they're in your favour. You still lead the Tour de France, and we're talking 4-5 seconds.
Floyd Landis, though, was talking minutes. 5 minutes 42, the margin of his win over Carlos Sastre, the only contender for overall victory in the top 6 of the stage. In 7th was the yellow jersey of Oscar Pereiro, 7 minutes and 8 seconds behind Landis, with Andreas Klöden 1 spot back in the same time. Cadel Evans lost 7 minutes 20, he was 10th, 4 seconds ahead of Denis Menchov. Cyril Dessel came in 16th, 8 minutes 49 down after his fall on the final descent. Michael Rogers lost 12 minutes 34 in 22nd place. Well, not so much a celebration as an angry gesture of vindication from Landis as he crossed the line. He still looked like a man with aggression to work off as he was walked to the back of the podium. It switched to the standard winner smile by the time he took the top step, knowing that astonishingly, given where he was in the morning, he was now favourite to occupy the same step in Paris. Ned spoke to him.
I spoke to you this morning and you said, I'm going to attack. Could you have ever known that it would work out like that?
I hoped it would work. I know I'm stronger than I looked yesterday, and I don't know if it would work that well, but usually after 2 mountain stages, people are pretty tired and not so organized, so worked as well as I could have hoped.
Touching distance of the Tour de France now, touching distance.
Thank you very much.
And there's the reason Floyd was grinning so widely. He was up from 11th to 3rd and had cut his deficit from an impossible 8 minutes 8 seconds to a menacing half a minute. Oscar Pereiro still had the race lead by 12 seconds from Carlos Sastre, but neither of them could time trial like the American. Andreas Klöden could, but he was 2 minutes 29 down in 4th. Cadel Evans and Denis Menchov were just hoping for places on the podium in Paris. Well, the question of the day was why the so-called contenders for overall victory in this race let Floyd Landis build up such a massive lead before the orders went out to collaborate on a chase. This, from CSC's Bjarne Riis, was the closest we got to an answer.
You left it a long time before you sent your boys to the front. Why was that?
Well, I thought we had the situation under control and it looked okay. And I felt it was not up to us to take the lead. And well, then I saw that Kestepani, they would give it away. And then we took the lead. But I didn't expect that Landis was so strong on the last climb.
Well, at the start of the day, he'd looked like pulling off one of the most unlikely overall victories in Tour de France history. By the end of it, he'd become the victim of one of the most unlikely returns from the dead. The best that could be said of a bad day for Oscar Pereiro was that he was still in yellow.
Oscar, congratulations for holding on to the yellow jersey. You did very bravely today.
Yes, I'm happy because it's too much difficult winning the Tour. I think in the recuperation today.
Can you do more? The podium, is that enough for you?
Oh yes, good.